from Monday. I want to say welcome to everyone that has joined us today for today's session. Assalamu alaikum to our North African colleagues on this call. And we promise that it's going to be an insightful time and a delightful time for us in today's session, where we have our panelists and our moderator to handle today's session, talking about driving green growth, innovation, and sustainability in the North African agribusiness landscape. I'm sure we're all ready to learn as much as I am also ready to learn from our speakers today. Our agendas will be around one introduction, and then we'll talk about African food chain makers. We'll also look at our program impacts in the landscape, and then application drive, and then we'll dive into the panel session. I also want us at this point, as we're joining, to introduce ourselves on the chat box. One of the essence of having gatherings like this is to network, meet people in the industry that are doing something like you, that you could just co-create solutions, innovative technologies to advance the work in the agribusiness landscape. So I encourage you to please make use of the chat box, introduce yourself, let us know your name, your email, your country, and your agribusiness on the chat box, and I'll try to introduce as many as possible messages I'm seeing on the chat box. So please, let's introduce ourselves. Let's write our names and our business. All right, I'm here to get any response on the chat box. Please, let's introduce ourselves. I'm here to get any response on the chat box. Can I confirm? Can you hear me so that it doesn't look like I'm just speaking to myself? Okay, I'm saying welcome everyone. All right, thank you very much. I'm here to receive Tariq. I'm here to receive your introduction. Jennifer, Brandy, thank you for dropping your chats, your comments. Thank you, Cassandra Taiwo from Nigeria. Nice to have you on this call. All right, I want to believe every other person will be dropping in their introduction, letting us know the name and what business they're into, and also how they're feeling this wonderful afternoon. For me, I'm feeling very great, and also at this point, we also talk about African food chain makers, right? Who are we, what we do, and what's driving the passion for what we do across the agribusiness landscape. And I'll add over the virtual mic to my colleague, my manager at African Food Chain Makers, who will tell us more about AFC. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you very much, Otumayo, for that introduction. I hope we are keeping the comments coming on our chat box. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to every participant in our very last edition of our webinar series, Africa Food Change Makers webinar series. Want to say thank you very much for joining us. Want to say thank you to our panelists. Want to say thank you to our moderators. And we are thrilled to welcome you to this webinar series. We've been hosting this series starting from Monday, and we're happy to announce that today is the last edition of the series, and all the playbacks will be available for all the topics that we've been taking from day one. So I'm quickly going to share who we are as Africa Food Change Makers. As Odunayo said, I'm Ruth Ebe, the Programs Manager for Africa Food Change Makers. And here we are a team of enablers committed to nourishing Africa and reshaping global narratives. At AFC, we understand that small and medium-scale enterprises are the lifeblood of the food ecosystem. So that is why our primary focus is to empower the visionary, dynamic, and innovative entrepreneurs who play diverse roles across the agri-food value chain, entrepreneurs that we call change makers. Faced with diverse challenges and risks, both socioeconomically and environmentally, these change makers need funding. They need training, they need visibility, market linkages, and a community of support to start or successfully scale their businesses. And that is where we come in. Our mission is to enable Our mission is to enable 1 million African entrepreneurs to start and scale resilient and sustainable agribusinesses that nourish Africa and the world by providing essential support in the form of training, funding opportunities, exposure, trade linkages, and access to a vibrant community of change makers. What is our vision? Our vision is to see 1 million successful and sustainable African businesses, agribusinesses, that are transforming the food ecosystem and are recognized and respected all across the globe. So how do we do this? What do? We provide a platform for that we call our hub for all African agri-food entrepreneurs to come in, join the hub and partner with one another, develop collaborative models, and engage in peer-to-peer support. On the AFC hub, there's a digital one-stop shop where agri-food entrepreneurs and stakeholders in the sector can access critical data, funding opportunities, partnerships, industry events, trade information, and other resources. Some of the resources or the main primary resource that we provide are tailored and relevant training programs and convenings for agri-food entrepreneurs across Africa. So we partner with relevant organizations to build these resilient, sustainable, and successful green businesses with regional and global impact and relevance. We also help them achieve visibility through partnerships. We give market linkages. We also help them trade internationally and showcase their food products on global platforms. We engage in storytelling as well and actively promote awareness about Africa's contribution to the global food ecosystem. So whether you are a primary producer or an aggregator, a processor or a distributor, an input or equipment provider, we've got you covered. Even if you're a logistics or finance expert in the food ecosystem, a technology innovator, an agribusiness consultant, a chef or a cook, we have got you covered. So no matter where you are or who you are across the continent and within this agri-food value chain, we're committed to fostering your growth, your resilience, and sustainability. We firmly believe that enabling change makers like you on this platform, we can contribute to significantly transforming the African food landscape. So at this point, I'll be handing back to Odunayo to share some of the impacts recorded in our programs. Odunayo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ruth, once again for that introduction about African food chain makers. Like she mentioned, if you are not yet a member of this community, you are missing out big time. There are several things you're missing out from, and we encourage you to join this movement of change makers. I'm sure my colleagues would have dropped the link for us on the chat box. We could just click on that link and then register. It doesn't take time. At this point, we would watch some videos from past participants on some of the programs that we do at African Food Chain Makers. So the first on the program that I'll be playing, so just give me some minutes. I want to play the video. So the first is GRACE, which is building resilience against climate and environmental shocks. And this program was implemented, started it last year, 2023, and we were able to train over 500 agribusinesses on climate smart adoption. How can you ensure that your business is able to transition into a sustainable one by adopting some of these climate smart practices? So these are testimonials from participants. You could just join me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Muhammad Njuma Yakub, the CEO of Yakdan Agro Venture Services. Actually, I'm delighted to be part of this program because having attended the virtual training, I was able to learn about the climate smart agriculture from module 1 to the last module for 6 weeks. Actually, I was impressed having this virtual session, and when I got the information concerning the study visit, it's made me to be happy to at least meet new people and collaborate to see how I will put my my enterprise ahead. Actually, I'm a cassava processor. Today, I was able to see 4 new varieties released by IT. In fact, I give glory to IT based on these cassava varieties, and not leaving behind the AFC, that's African Food Chain Makers, who initiated this in connection to the brace to brighten up my knowledge.
Okay, my name is Adoma Priska Ezimo. I'm a doctor of veterinary medicine. It has been amazing so far. Coming in contact with the African Food Chain Makers and the brace program. It has been a whole world of exposure. For the first time, I am being exposed to the concept of climate smart agriculture. My business is focused on meat processing and meat inspection at Dr. Omar Smith's shop. That's what we do. And having to know that some of our processes may dangerously affect the climate is something that, triggered a wake-up call. And then AFC didn't just stop at a virtual program. We are here for a study visit to actually see these things being practicalized. It's amazing. And I'll say kudos to African Food Chain Makers. Thank you for wanting to change the narrative of agriculture and the whole, production chain in Nigeria.
All right, you've heard it, you've seen it, and that's feedback from our participants for Brace. And a good news about this program is that currently it's live, right? We'll begin the call for application for the 2024 cohort. And we're encouraging everyone to sign up for this program. If you have, also share within your network, the association you belong to in your country, so that they could benefit from this program itself too. And the good news about this program is we also have this program in French version. So if you French speaking, understand, you prefer to have the videos in French, we got you covered for this particular program. I will play the second program from AFC, which is the Scaling Exports program. Sorry. Okay, so that would be, okay, so I'll be playing that of Laugh First, which is the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship. This program aimed at celebrating the work of young women in the agribusiness landscape, to amplify their voices, to celebrate them, and then to give them this visibility and recognition that they need in the global space. So please watch along.
The Leading African Women in Food Fellowship program is an annual 6-month program that identifies outstanding female disruptors, ecosystem enablers, entrepreneurs, policymakers, chefs, trendsetters, and storytellers in the African food ecosystem, and provides them with training, mentorship, visibility, and a community of support to advance their work and enhance their impact.
Such an important program, and bringing women change makers from across the continent together.
For the past 6-7 months that we have been with the fellowship, we've had a series of industry experts. These are busy people that took their time to get to know us, to understand what we do.
The fellowship serves as a transformative platform that catalyzes positive change, fostering a resilient and inclusive food ecosystem led by these exceptional female leaders.
We get a lot of applications, apply for this, apply for that, but I have never been in an actual food program where it's just food system.
Before I joined LAF, I was thinking small, but now I'm dreaming big.
Do you know a dynamic woman making an outstanding impact in Africa's agriculture landscape? If so, nominate them today.
You know, in the midst of so many no's, when you see one yes, it's like a little light in the tunnel. So when I was accepted into the LAF program, it was like a big yes, not just a small yes. It was a big yes for me. Yes, someone somewhere appreciates what you're doing.
I think this is the start of something amazing and big, and it has so much potential. And I'm looking forward to more and more cohorts that will build this into an amazing network of women doing amazing things. I see this being a platform for African women to truly find their voice and connect with other women in the same sphere.
For more information on how to nominate, visit our website at www.lof.afchub.org.
Thank you very much. That's the LAF program. And also this program is as open for 2024 cohorts. So we also invite you, if you know anyone that is working in this landscapes, a woman, please share with them, let them know about this program, nominate them for this particular award. For 2023 cohort, we had somebody from Egypt who was also a beneficiary of this part.
Hi, my name is Usman Imana from Friska Farms Limited. We are an agribusiness manufacturer on a mission to providing sustainable and affordable solutions to nutrition, health, and wellness. We do this through 3 lines of products: herbal teas, baby cereal, and a line of snacks. I'm here at the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in Cairo, Egypt, displaying with other African entrepreneurs. I'm a member of the SCP under the Africa Food Chain Makers, and looking forward to good sales and pushing our products across Africa and beyond Africa.
Vivian from Macaron's Blue Dates. We process dates into various delicious products like our date powder, our date biscuits, our date syrup, our date granola. So we're right here at the Inter-Africa Trade Fair 2023 happening in Egypt, Cairo. We're members of the African Food Change Makers, and we're so glad to be a part of that lovely community. We're currently going through the Scaling Export Program. It's been a beautiful, insightful learning experience, and we're looking to export across Africa and the world.
Thank you very much for taking your time to watch the videos. Go back to sharing my screen. So if you are into the exporting space, or you have produce, value-added produce that are looking to export to the international markets, SCP is a program for you, whereby you'll be taught on how to ensure that your product is being able to have visibility in the international space. Your produce, you're able to navigate the challenges across the exporting, the logistics faced when exporting, and then you also be able to have some form of certification that would ensure that your product is accepted in the international market. So please do sign up for this particular program. So later this year, the call for application for SCP will be out, and when it comes out, please do sign up. And this information, please don't just keep it to yourself. Share it also within your network, other agri SMEs that you know in your community, in your association, to also benefit from this program. I'll just be running through some of the impacts that we have members in the AFC community enjoyed last year. One was around funding opportunities that we shared to them. We had over 48 of those funding opportunities that we shared to our members. We had speak in about 115 exhibition and event showcase where they could showcase their products. One of them is at the Intra-African Trade Fair, and we also had at the AATF2 itself. So there are several exhibition opportunities that are open for you to become a member of AFC. We also have access, giving them access to exclusive events whereby they could meet some other potential suppliers, potential buyers for their produce, and also have some get to close some deals in the international market. We had about 74 access to market, both local and international market, 3 award nomination for our members, and then 19 speaking engagements and 3 trainings and fellowship. So these and many more are the opportunities, the benefits that you get when you become a member of African Food Change Makers. So once again, I implore you to sign up for all of these programs to be an AFC member. These are the link, and I'm sure my colleague has also shared those links for us on the chat box. At this point, I also want to pass over the virtual mic to our manager once again, who will be introducing our moderator for the panel session. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm happy to be back to introduce our moderator for the day, who's going to be steering today's conversation on driving green growth, innovation, and sustainability in the North African agribusiness landscape. Jennifer leads MIT's Legatum Center's Foundry Fellowship, a 6-month transformative experience for African entrepreneurs and innovation ecosystem builders. Inspired by their talent and ambition, she fosters a community of collective shaping of future ecosystems. With expertise in facilitation and strategy, Jennifer Brady co-founded That Spark, a professional development platform, and previously led philanthropic initiatives across Asia and Africa with Geneva Global. She holds a bachelor degree in art history and an MBA. Let's put a digital hand clap together as we welcome our moderator for the day, Jennifer Brady. Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you, Odunayo, for having me. It's really a pleasure. This is my first event with AFC, so I'm learning a lot as I go. And I'm really proud and honored to be part of the webinar series that you're holding this week. So as we've talked about, today's theme is driving green growth, innovation, and sustainability in the North African agribusiness landscape. And we are really lucky to have three incredible agripreneurs with us from North Africa. And I'll quickly introduce them and then we'll go into the discussion. So I believe we have Anas Bashar with us. Is that correct? Anas, are you with us?
I'm here. Hello, guys. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
Great to connect with you. As this is the first time actually we're connecting, can I do a name pronunciation check? Am I saying your name correctly?
It was perfect, better than my my relatives.
Awesome. Well, Anas, you have an incredible bio. I won't go into all the details, but I'll share that you are the founding partner at Sprezzatura Advisors based in the UAE, which focuses on a whole range of professional services related to regenerative and sustainable agriculture, efficiency in agri-inputs, innovations in agri-food, carbon financing, and strategic trading and sales of agricultural commodities. That's quite a range, and I think obviously incredibly relevant to our conversation today. I also have here that you've co-founded more than 7 companies in farm management, impact investing, incubation, water technology, fertilizer training, and management consulting across 4 countries. So I know we'll have a lot to talk about. It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us. Our next panelist is Omar Al-Nagar. Omar, are you with us?
I'm right here, Jennifer. Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Really happy to have you. So Omar has worked for organizations in the fresh produce industry in both Spain and Egypt since 2002. Having worked for Pico, Egypt, and Sanlúcar in Spain, he spearheaded Bloom Fruit Consultants from Cairo, Egypt. Bloom Fruit offers growers and global retailers commercial and technical expertise in supplying worldwide markets. Omar's focus in the industry is commercial, so exporting fruits and vegetables to many parts of the globe, but he's also well-versed in logistics, varietal development, and licensing. So Omar, it's really a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to learning from you and your vast experience.
The pleasure is all mine, Jennifer. Thank you. I look forward to learning from everyone here.
So Khalid Al-Anani, I don't know if Khalid has made it to join the session yet. Khalid, are you with us?
He's not here. But we'll be looking out for him.
Okay, sure. So if he joins the conversation later, we can have him jump in. Why don't we get started with the discussion? So I think Omar and Anas, I think you could see from the chat that we have with us a lot of participants from a range of African countries. So we have Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Sudan, South Africa, and many of them seem to be agripreneurs and definitely movers and shakers in the industry. So I hope that the conversation can really provide them with something, new insights or ways to bring action on some of the topics that we talk about. For the first question, I want to go to Anas and ask, with your expertise really across this broad range of areas which we talked about around sustainability and innovation and agribusiness, can you talk about what you think are the key challenges or barriers that you see in kind of a wider adoption of sustainable practices in the North African agribusiness sector? So what are the key challenges, and maybe share some ideas for how they might be addressed?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. And again, very happy to be here. Look, based on the experience, so the presentation was good, but it actually gave the impression that it's a very large kind of field that I'm covering. But actually, maybe a very quick introduction. So in the last, actually, I have been an investment banker for almost 10 years, and in the last 10 years, I'm 41 years old now. For the last 10 years, the main thing I was busy with is we convinced, and I'm going to the two questions to answer them. We convinced a European pension fund to invest in a large-scale, sustainable and impactful agricultural project in Morocco, integrated project to plant, grow and sell dates, majhul dates. I saw in the video in Egypt some dates producers, and I was happy to see some familiar faces. So this is the main thing we did. And let me tell you that this is the first hurdle, actually. When I talk with my fellow farmers and agri-business players, I can see that the first hurdle is actually to fund and to finance the projects, the sustainable projects. Why? Because taking my old and my former investment banker hat, what I feel is that the entrepreneurs and the agribusiness entrepreneurs, they lack this ability to talk to the funders, to the financiers, to the bankers, and especially in the sustainability, because in the sustainability space, what we have seen during the last 10 to 15 years is a lot of communication happen, but not really on the ground. When you look at the big allocation and money allocation in the big asset managers, we're still talking about less than 1% globally that is going to sustainable agriculture, sustainable agribusinesses, etc. So this is for me the main challenge, is to be able to attract, and I'm talking about Africa in general, to attract large amounts of funding. To do that, we need to talk we need to be able to attract the investors into sustainability. And again, one of the main, let's say, focus point that we need to tackle is to show that sustainability is profitable. Sustainability is profitable. It's actually, it's even more than that, to prove that the projects that are not profitable are not sustainable. It's as easy as that. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in my own business. And yeah, so this is for me to start, and I will stop talking so it can be interactive. For me, is really to attract as much as possible large funding to fund and to invest. And to do that, we need to level up the way we present the projects, the way we show the profitability, because even the sustainable investors, they need to see profitability.
Really interesting. My question would be, in the deal that you did, so the date project in Morocco, what was it that you saw in the way you communicated the potential profits or the return on the investment for that project? What was it about the way that you communicated that you think broke through to the investors?
Well, it's a very good question. It's a very good question. And here I will talk about something that we can definitely replicate to all Africa. Well, again, as a summary, we convinced a European institutional investor to invest into a greenfield project, large scale. We're talking about plus 30 million euros invested in farming. And one of the main, let's say, topic, or not, maybe not argument, but one of the main like pillars of convincing the investor was saying, look, talking to the people in Germany, look, we know today that one of the major problems in Europe is immigration, right? And immigration coming from Africa. And we went and we told them, look, to be honest, Africans, they don't want to immigrate to Europe. It's cold, people are not friendly, and it's a lot of good reasons. So Africans, they want to stay and live in Africa, right? It's a fact. But if it's economically, it's not possible, they will move. And we went to the Germans and we said, look, my first goal, and then I'm talking about social impact, and we can talk about sustainability from an environmental standpoint, but let me focus on the social impact. And I told them, guys, by investing in Morocco, not only you will make money, but you will allow Moroccan agronomes, Moroccan, young Moroccan to work in the project, and we created plus 250 jobs. And these guys, they will not immigrate to Europe. And we know that Germany, France, a lot of countries, they pay a lot programs to stop immigration. So one of the major point, it was like, okay, this is a very practical way to create value and to allow people to thrive in their country. And of course, we went into details, we gave figures, analysis, reports on how many jobs we create, etc. And yeah, this is just an example, I'm giving to show you how we can talk to investors. And this is, I mean, replicable to all countries in Africa.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Are there any other challenges that you think would be important to highlight? So not just the access to financing, but maybe, any other thoughts that come to mind?
Yeah, I think the other challenge, but this is maybe a little bit technical, is that I do believe, at least for the case of the country where we did the project, and actually we're expanding now to other countries, so we're also seeing the same hurdle or the challenge, is I think technically in terms of sustainability reporting and assessment, at the end of the day, I worked in Europe, and then I worked in the US and in the Middle East and in Africa. I do believe that we are the most sustainable in doing things. I'm talking about my business, which is farming and agri. We are, I mean, it's something that, we do have the good habits. We do things in a very sustainable way. That's not the problem. But where we can really improve is how we assess it and how we report and we communicate about it to, for example, investors. And we still today use American, European, or international advisors, consultants, and companies to come to our farm and tell us how we need to assess what we have done sustainably. And I'm sure this is, by the way, again, is coming to the other point, which is we need to convince the investors. And if we don't know how to communicate and how to showcase what we have done, it will be difficult. So other than that, I mean, technically, we have the talents in Africa. We know how to do things sustainably. We just need a little bit to polish it a little bit and communicate about it in a fancy way.
Yeah. So I hear really kind of two things coming out there. So one thing is about the kind of, sometimes you can call it like cultural translation, or just the ability to build a bridge between two different actors that have come from different worlds, potentially, meaning the entrepreneurs and the investors, or the ideas and the capital. So how to bridge those ideas. And the other is kind of building this narrative around what really is happening in Africa, the talent that exists, the opportunity that exists, the practices that are already in place, and just making sure that that narrative really comes across and is understood by others. Great. Well, thank you. I want to move over to Omar and just ask one question to start with. So Omar, are you still with us?
I'm still here, Jennifer.
Fantastic. So the question that our AFC colleagues have wanted to know from you is, having worked with different SMEs in the agriculture space over time, what strategies might be implemented to ensure more inclusivity and more participation of small-scale farmers in sustainable practices within the North African agribusiness landscape?
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very good question. First of all, I'd like to thank Anas for a great topic. He's touched some very, very interesting topics that I'm sure we would be fascinated to learn more about. And I'd like to thank everyone here that participated with us today. It's one of the hardest jobs on the planet. People actually do sometimes forget that it's one of the oldest industries, farming and producing all sorts of fruits and vegetables and commodities and legumes, and just we don't feel the hard work, or we don't realize how much hard work every single grower producer puts on, sacrifices to deliver what they have to do. So I thank everyone here with us today. So going back to your question, Jennifer, I think one of the things that that we have actually looked at in terms of strategies for SMEs is the focus on number one, quality of what they produce, and making sure that it matches exactly all the specifications of their buyers, whether they're retailers, wholesalers, or any kind of potential buyers. And the other thing is looking into more details in varietal development, meaning if you are a grower of, for example, of grapes or avocados, and you have, let's say you have variety X, and variety X has been in the market for many years. What happens over time is that a lot of buyers, they sort of get tired from specific open varieties, and they start looking into more exclusive varieties, which gives way into breeders, or we'd say plant owners, to step in and offer these specific varieties that the market is looking for. So one of the things we work with SMEs is to start putting some research, some influence on efforts to find these specific exclusive varieties to enter specific markets. And this is something that is quite overlooked these days by many growers. People grow grapes and they just go for sometimes the open varieties. So a variety that anyone can buy and grow and just try to sell. So before going into specific varieties, do your research first in looking into that specific variety. Try to understand which markets will need these varieties. Look into the market size. How much is, or how big is a market that is going to buy this specific product? And this is where we usually advise our growers to put a lot of time and money into. And that's today, I think this is one of the top one of the top strategies we use today. Another third and maybe known strategy to everyone is that growing one or two specific products today is not going to be enough. It's now time for thinking about agri and production projects together. So look at value-added products. If you are producing, for example, strawberries, don't just stop at producing fresh strawberries. Start looking into processing projects. Like, how can you add value to this product? Can you produce jam? Can you produce concentrates? Can you do IQFs? And that's one of the top attractions for global investors today. They look into the portfolio of the grower or the producer. Is it only one product? Is it just fresh? And fresh has proven to be becoming more and more challenging today in the global market. If you're just working in fresh products, it's becoming harder and harder every day to sustain that. And part of the strategies that we build today with some of our growers is to always think in adding value. Can you produce oranges and sell these fresh oranges, and at the same time find an investor that can build an orange concentrate factory? There is a huge demand globally today on orange concentrates. There's big shortage from Brazil on juicing oranges, and Brazil is the #1 player in such a product. And today there's a very, very big shortage in the market for that. And of course, Egypt came to the picture because Egypt is also a big producer of oranges, but Egypt cannot keep up with the demand of such product, which is concentrates of orange juice, or what they called, there's another type of juice, NFC. There's also the murky juice. So there are different grades, different levels of these value-added productions. And we always emphasize on how important value-added products are to every grower we work with. So yeah, these are 3 of the strategies that we work with and we keep on juggle with our SMEs for the past, I would say, 4 or 5 years.
Thank you, Omar. Thanks for that. I think it kind of brings me to my next question, which is, how you're working with your SME in your the SMEs in your network. The question is around how education and awareness of, for example, all the things that you just talked about. A lot of the strategies around, focusing on value addition and processing rather than fresh fruits, or exploring global markets and seeing where that connection between what you're producing and where the market is. All of that information kind of has to come through, education and promotion and awareness raising. So can you talk about just what you see as maybe the role and the gaps and maybe some of the solutions around kind of bridging information with the small and medium-sized businesses?
Okay, so yeah, I think that the topic here, Jennifer, would be talking about education systems, right? And the importance of education system that plays in this topic. So of course, it goes without saying, having a strong education system gives access to many opportunities in the field. Whether it improves the health of communities, it makes communities more resilient, while of course fueling the economies of these communities and the countries they're in. And of course, it boosts growth in many nations. It also gives a lot of acceleration and job opening opportunities in that area. So many people who are today focused on education and educating their workforce, whether they are packers, whether they are harvesters, or people, doing their job on stuff like, agribusiness. What do they call it? Not pickers, but movers, transportation, logistics people. All these people involved today in educations. There are many educational programs, and I think the UNESCO is one of the big providers of that today. They provide programs on the importance of education today and how it is now a crucial part, and it plays a crucial part in agribusinesses today, understanding every part of the chain, and it's something that the government of Egypt today is trying to focus on. They're opening up all sorts of education centers today to serve the agribusiness sector. The industry has been lacking a little bit of education on whether it's harvesting, packing, logistics, et cetera, et cetera. There are different centers now to educate folks from these different areas. So yes, it's definitely one of the programs that many private sectors as well are focusing on today. A lot of private sector growers, different size growers, whether SMEs or large businesses, are focused on today. They even have in-house education for that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Omar. Thank you for your insights. I'm happy to announce that we have our third panelist has joined the conversation. So I want to introduce quickly and ask a question to Khalid Al-Anani. Khalid, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Jennifer, and sorry about the confusion.
No worries. Happy to have you. I'm glad you could join. So Khalid is the vice chairman of the Dakalia Group based in Cairo, Egypt. Dakalia is one of the top 3 poultry companies in Egypt and has been in the market for over 20 years. Khalid is a civil engineer by trade, but after some time joined the family business and since has led the growth of the supplier base, partnering with foreign companies to gain inputs needed to expand Dakalia's impact. So welcome. And we've had a rich discussion around challenges in the agribusiness space, challenges around financing and communicating what's happening on the African continent with capital providers. We've talked about some strategies around value addition and expanding the varietals offered to meet demand. So we've had a rich conversation, also talking about education in the space and the need for more investment in education. So Khalid, I wanted to turn it over to you to ask a question around, we have in North Africa, but across the continent, we have a whole range of stakeholders, right? So we have the agripreneurs, we have the capital providers, we have the others in the value chain who are, working at different levels in supplying inputs and in sales and export. Government obviously plays a role. So I wanted to ask you your thoughts on how stakeholders in this kind of ecosystem can really better work together and collaborate to overcome some of the challenges and to really move on the opportunities that are, really waiting for better sustainable practices or kind of more innovation in the space in North Africa, but also across the continent.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I listened to a part of Omar's opinions in what he said, and basically, he's I know Omar personally, and he's a heavyweight of this industry, and we're colleagues of the same industry. So he touched on some very important points. The adding value, I guess, is where I'd like to start. I think this is a very important point because one of the things that everybody knows is that Africa is very rich in resources, all kinds of primary resources, but the continent loses out on a lot of potential income because of the fact that whether we're talking about minerals or in our case, agribusiness as well, primary agriculture, we export a lot of unprocessed items, a lot of unprocessed produce. So I guess processing is one part of the, I agree with what Omar said, that adding value is very important. But I'd like to also mention that, in my opinion, one of the very important points is to work on a strategy level and try to start with the end in mind. Obviously, this needs governments, this needs decision makers, major decision makers, as well as civil society organizations related to agriculture or indirectly, all of them to work together and to try to formulate a strategy, a local strategy for their communities and national strategies for their countries, and try to start there and then work backwards. I think that's very important because one of the things that through the journey of working in agribusiness that we saw, for example, is that one of the major issues that we have in Egypt is that we do not really have, and this is just an example, it's not the main point, but just to give an example, is that we do not really have successful cooperatives, for example. And that is, in my opinion, a major issue. The fact that we do not have cooperatives leads us to, investments, being unable to make the right investments that would benefit everyone on some level. And on the other hand, that you have some areas that do not have the investments and other areas that have too much investment. So some areas need packing houses, but they don't have them. They need the cooling infrastructure. They don't have it. And you have other areas that have too many packing houses that are sitting idle. So that's one example of that. And then, of course, there's things like collective bargaining, things like pooling our resources to be able to market our produce or our products, processed products better. Being able to, and that's a second point, is besides adding value, I think innovation as in trying to deliver a unique product to the market as well. So trying to understand tastes on the one hand, and then trying to deliver a unique product to the market. So if you process tomatoes into tomato paste, that's a very good step, but why not make some sauces or some end product that the consumer is going to pick off the shelf in somewhere in Europe or Asia or the US or North America. So that's another example that I'd like to touch at. But ultimately, I think if you take a look at all of these ideas, I think trying to put them into, trying to implement these, I think one of the most important things is that we have a strategy and we try to, and we have a time frame for implementing the strategy, and we identify the resources that we need in order to implement the strategy, and then we work together step by step. We identify the milestones, and we work together towards achieving that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and you can see how through building a strategy, you really need the collaboration of many different stakeholders, right, to really understand what the direction is to move forward in. So thank you for that. We do have a couple of questions from the audience. We're almost filling our time, but I do want to get to this. So we have one question around mobilizing resources for smallholder farmers, especially when they're trying to access the technologies that already exist. So does anyone want to take a stab at that question? Khalid, Anas, Omar?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again? Is it in the chat?
It's in the chat. So the question is, I think the question is related to in the bigger picture. I think the discussion so far has been clear. But if we go down to the smallholder farmer level and think about mobilizing resources for them to access technologies, what are some strategies or approaches?
Well, I think, in my opinion, that's one great example on why we need cooperatives, for example. I think the thing is, when you're a small farmer, you have a lot of things, the cards are stacked against you, unfortunately. So the only way to unstack those cards against you and try to make sure that they work for you is to try to band together and try to build proper cooperatives together. So the banks, they're worried about not getting paid back, even if we're talking about proper agricultural banks that are supposed to lend small farmers. And then, of course, you have the new methods of financing, but these in reality, a lot of them are really expensive for the farmer. So that's one thing. And then, of course, you have the fact that the resources are quite expensive in a lot of cases. You have the fact that the knowledge, I have a snippet of knowledge, someone else has another snippet, but if we work together, then we're able to build something together. We're able to travel and learn from the experience of other countries and see what other people in other countries are doing. So my opinion is, and this is what I've seen in many places, especially in Belgium and the Netherlands. I mean, to give you an example, the largest or one of the largest milk producing companies in the world is Friesland Campina, and this is actually, it's not, I mean, it's a huge company, but if you look at it, it's not actually a big company, it's actually a cooperative. It doesn't actually have 1 million cows or 500,000 cows. It's a cooperative with people who have 10 and 20 cows, but lots of them.
Interesting, thank you. Okay, so I think we have time for one more question. We have one here in the chat that is really about some education programs. So I'm going to throw out two questions as a wrap up. So one is about what are some education programs you support, or I suppose think are of high quality for those who wish to study in the field of, where did the question go? In the field of agriculture. So one is, any education programs that the panelists think are worthy of mentioning. And then the second question I want to throw out as the last question for the day is around, this panel is about with a focus on North Africa, but as we've been talking, of course, we've kind of been taking a continental perspective, especially given our audience. So I wanted to just ask the question to the panelists, what do you see as the future steps that we can take in terms of better connecting what's happening in Egypt and Morocco and in the region with the continent as a whole? So what are some ways that you're thinking about connecting what you're doing across the continent, and what are some opportunities maybe for further connection that you see? And maybe I'll just go, Omar, please.
Jennifer, I'll volunteer for that one. I think one of the more, I would say, prevalent ways of connection today between the industry has been through fairs, exhibitions. There's one that is held, of course, every year, which is a very, very big event. I think the biggest in the agri-business, which is Berlin's Fruit Logistica, which is next week, by the way. I think business fairs is one of those ways for networking. It's a great, great way to network one-on-one with people from the industry. You have everyone related to the industry, whether from logistics, potential buyers, growers, people in machinery, people in agri-processing, everyone is there. And then that is on the global level. There's maybe 3 or 4 other big global exhibitions, fairs that take place every year. And I think now on the local level, on each country's level, we take Egypt had one maybe a month and a half ago. We had Food Africa, which was held in Cairo, Egypt, and I think a couple of those video clips probably was from that event. This is one of those events where a lot of those networking stages or networking events take place, and one-on-one interaction is definitely much more effective than emails, technology, phone calls. They do a much better job in connecting people together in at least in our industry.
Thank you. And Omar, we'll ask you to end with one question I have, which is, if we do this conversation again, what might be a topic that you would suggest for the next time?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think there are many topics in the industry, and whether they have to do with the supply chain itself, whether they have to do with technology in the industry, whether they have to do with, like Khaled mentioned, innovations in the field, which is also, again, a very important aspect, and I completely agree with Khaled on that. It's a very important thing. One of the things also is, AI, putting some emphasis and importance today on artificial intelligence and taking a little bit less of the focus on social media and putting it more on AI. I think AI is going to take a major seat in our industry in the coming months.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anas, do you have any closing remarks or any suggestions for what we might do the next time we all meet?
Yeah, so thank you, and it was very interesting what I heard. So thank you, Omar and Khalid. I would say funding, because again, I think it's the fuel of to move the engine and to move the car. So we need funding, and I will add to that smallholders, because big grown guys working in international corporations and with big projects like myself, by the way, are already out of the risky zone. But if you guys could focus on smallholders and how these guys could raise and achieve projects, that would be really needed.
Okay, thank you. Noted. Khalid, anything else to contribute before we say goodbye?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think that between what Omar and Anas have touched on, I think there's not really so much to say. I think that Africa has massive potential, and I think that through sharing ideas together, I think sharing ideas together is the way to go forward. And I believe that the more people are exposed either to the opportunities within Africa or exposed to what are the other success stories that we have, I think this is only bound to help propel all of the efforts that you're putting together forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all our panelists, to those in the audience who posed questions. I'll turn it back over to Ruth.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. We appreciate you greatly for jumping in to help us moderate this session. And thank you very much to our panelists, Anas, Khalid, and Omar. Thank you for all your insights. Thank you for all your ideas. We believe that the participants learned a lot. And the great thing is that these session is being recorded and is going to be available to a wider audience to tap into these insights and continue the conversation as we go on. So thank you very much. We appreciate you in African Food Change Makers, and we hope that we'll continue to hear from you on other platforms. We'll be wrapping this up with some announcements, and I'll hand over to our moderator, our anchor, Odunayo, my colleague, who will take us on the final announcements. Remember the links that of the programs that he had announced earlier, they are on the chat box. People are still connecting there. Questions are still coming up. I want to encourage us that we are all this is a community. We are all connected to one another. And if you have questions, if you have concerns, you can always reach out beyond this particular platform. So we see questions coming, we see suggestions coming, keep the conversation going on. We'll have the key takeaways on our social media platforms. Some of them are being posted as well on the chat box. So take advantage of that. Go to our social media. Let's continue this conversation going, and let's keep sharing ideas. Let's keep asking our questions and getting all the answers we need. We believe that we'll continue to do everything as the conversations go on, everything that we need to drive green growth, everything that we need to build sustainable businesses, everything that we need to scale our businesses will be available to us as we grow this community. Thank you very much, especially to Jennifer for moderating this session. I can't thank you enough. You steered the conversation so well, and we're grateful to you. I'll hand over to Odunayo right now to give the announcements and then wrap up this session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ruth. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to our moderator for such a wonderful session. Very insightful for me. As for further announcements, so please we encourage that you share your learnings, your insights regarding this program on social media. You could tag us at African Food Chain Makers. For me, one thing I actually got to learn about from this session where was when one of our panelists talked about value addition, and we cannot overemphasize the importance of value addition. This is one of the things we train participants in our SCP program on value addition of their produce. So please share your insight on social media platform, tag us at AFC. We'd love to hear about what you've learned concerning this program. And not only about sharing your insights, so please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms for programs like these, events like these, opportunities that we have for you like this. So while we round up this program, I want us to, you've been seeing my face, you've seen Ruth's face, you've seen our panelist face, and our moderator. We also want to see your face as our tradition at AFC. Please want us all to put on our videos, to take our camera, to take a picture of us in this session. So please, I would love to see our beautiful faces. Let's put on our videos. I'll stop sharing so I can see the faces of the wonderful people we have on this call. Thank you, Jennifer. I can see your video is on. All right. Uloma, I can see you. Thank you. Khalid, I can see you. Otto, I can see you. Dave, I can see you. Nelly, I can see you. Anna, I can see you. All right. I'm waiting for that. Nicholas, I can see you. Andrew, I can see you. Cassandra, I can see you. Gideon, HRH, Princess, I can see you. Okay, like this is a picture. I can see somebody I saw yesterday, but I'm not seeing the video today. That's Kai. Thank you for joining once again today. All right, my colleagues, can we confirm that we're good to go? Patience, I can see you. And your beautiful glasses, thank you. All right, I think Alice, thank you. I can see your shadow. All right, want to say thank you to everyone that has joined on this call. As my manager mentioned, we have the recording of this session on our YouTube channel. You can go back to watch them. You can also share these videos to other agribusinesses in your network to watch. And one thing we want you to do for us is please apply for these programs that we mentioned. If you think you don't need them, there is somebody that you know that actually need this program for their benefit. So please do apply for this program, share it with your network, and we would love to connect with you once again. Thank you to everyone, to our panelists. Thank you for honoring our invite. We'll continue engagement for further for subsequent sessions and programs. Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening to everyone. And once again, I say assalamu alaikum to every one of us. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.